Hi, I'm Karina. I almost said I'm Maddie for some reason. I'm Karina.
And I'm Maddie.
And welcome to Everything But the Fairy Tale Sink. This week we're covering the Egyptian goddess Sekhmet, who some of you might recognize from like the Kane Chronicles, or I'm sure she shows up in other places. But yeah.
Also, back to one of our very first episodes again, vampires.
Yes, Vampires Part 1. We brought her up there.
Yes.
All right.
I don't know why, but the intro, do you remember when the Andy show was pre-recording and they were just constantly introducing themselves as the other person? That's what our intro today reminded me of.
Yep.
I just need to get the Froggles now.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. My recommendation is appropriate. I'm recommending The Kane Chronicles by Rick Riordan, which,
great books.
While I love Percy Jackson, is his superior series.
See, I prefer Magnus Chase.
Magnus Chase was pretty good.
They're all good. Any of Rick Riordan's books are good.
True. All right, what is your recommendation?
My recommendation, because this episode will be coming out over the summer, is go to the beach or water in general. A lake, a pond. Don't go to a river. Rivers are unsafe. Just go to water and hang out and have a good time.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it.
Yes.
So, Sekhmet is one of the primary deities of the 12th dynasty of Egypt and is one of the oldest gods in written history. She went by many different names. So, we have some of the names here. They're fun. We have the protector of the pharaoh, the one who is powerful, the one before whom evil trembles, the lady of slaughter, the mistress of dread, she who mauls, the bringer of plagues, or the manifestation of Ra.
See, you know what? They were starting out real cool, and then it just was a slight progression of much, much more aggressive names.
Yeah. I bet you can't take a guess as to what kind of goddess Sekhmet is.
Probably. I feel like I should know this because of my mythology class.
Oof.
But also, it's morning, and my brain isn't entirely functioning, but probably war, death.
She is a warrior goddess. And
I love warrior goddesses.
We are referring to her pretty exclusively as Sekhmet today because
it's the easiest to understand.
It's the easiest one. So she is depicted as a lion-headed woman. She's clothed in either nothing or in red linen, and red is her color. I can relate. I'm kidding. And atop her head, depending on the variation, is a sun disk that's like wrapped in a Urius serpent. I'm not entirely sure what a Urius serpent is, but a sun disk wrapped in a snake. She was created when Ra, king of the gods, gazed upon the earth. That's literally all we know about her creation story, is he looked at the earth and was like, needs more bloodthirsty lion goddesses. She was one half of the Eye of Ra, but we'll get more into the Eye of Ra stuff later on.
See, I tried to Google a Urius snake and it autocorrected to Furious snake, so
big oof.
I don't have anything good.
So, in the Book of the Dead, which is a super important book in Egyptian mythology, she's seen as both a creative and destructive force, but above all, she's protector of Ma'at, which is the Egyptian concept of balance and justice. Ma'at also refers to a goddess. It's a little complicated, but she's pretty solely talking about being the protector of justice and balance. As a solar goddess, so a goddess born of the sky, she was called upon for protection. Her name was commonly invoked during embalming rites, and dead pharaohs were buried with literally hundreds upon hundreds of statues and symbols of Sekhmet for protection in the afterlife. And so she was quite the powerhouse, in case you haven't caught on by the names like She Who Slaughters. And it's not surprising that many feared her. She is literally the divine manifestation of Ra's power, and she was created as a tool of vengeance. She's represented by the midday sun, and her anger was terrifying, as she would send plagues to those who, ticked her off. Just straight up, irritate the goddess. Oh, look, all of our children are dead. There was also the straight up murking people, which she was not afraid to get her hands dirty. The bird has an opinion on that. But yeah, as well as she could breathe fire, which
I love her.
We're never going to go back to, but that does happen. On the flip side, though, Sekhmet was known as the Lady of Life. She was associated with medicine, and her priests were so skilled in the healing areas they were compared to doctors at the time. So we're going to see, and I'm going to mention this more later on, but like duality is a very important part of Egyptian mythology, and Sekhmet embodies that in more ways than one. So now we're going to talk to her about her connections to other gods and goddesses. Very briefly, there are more, but we're talking about the most important ones. First of all is her father, Ra. Not much is known if she like truly loved her father or if he loved her, but she acted as like his blade and was very loyal to him. Her consort and husband, who we do know that she loved dearly, was the handsome and brilliant Ta, who is the creator of all physical things in this world. Together, they symbolize destruction and creation, and that union created Nefertum, who was their son. He represented the sunrise and created mankind from his tears after being born from the blue lotus flower on the river. I don't entirely know what that means, but it was in every single source.
Okay.
So it's important. But yeah, their other son, oh gosh, I forgot to mention this. Those three gods, Sekhmet, Ta, and Nefertum, they made up the Memphite triad. So they're worshipped kind of together, and they were worshipped in Memphis, Egypt. So their other son, who was adopted, was the human Imhotep. He was the first known architect, engineer, and physician in history, or at least written history, and he was given the status of deity thousands of years posthumously. Arguably, second most important is her counterpart and her possible twin, Bast, who is also known as Bastet. They embodied, once again, this common duality that we see in Egyptian mythology. Bast was the softer, kinder, and arguably more beloved version of Sekhmet, which was shown in her being symbolized by a cat.
I was going to say, is she the cat? Was she?
Yes, she's the cat lady.
Oh, gosh. What's it? Muffin.
Yes!
Muffin!
Muffin! Yeah, so
For
she was
any
like...
of you who are very confused by that reference, it is a King Chronicles reference. The
So good.
girl in the story, Sadie, has a cat named Muffin who is actually Bast.
Yep.
But we love Muffin here. We stan Muffin.
We love Muffin. And I love that the cat was named Muffin. Yeah, now we're going into her literal counterpart, also possibly her twin. It's very convoluted. But the goddess Hathor, and we'll be discussing her shortly, but we have to get into the main legend surrounding Sekhmet. And warning, it's going to get a little gruesome here. Not really, but like lots of blood.
We apologize for all the gruesome episodes in a row.
Yeah, we don't really know why we did that. We're filming this around finals week. We just both need some aggression out, apparently. So Ra was unhappy with mankind, and he wanted to teach them a lesson. It's a pretty common theme we see in old mythologies, from Zeus and the people of Arcadia that we discussed in Werewolves, to the Christian gods sending great floods and plagues to those who disobeyed him.
Which, it really confuses me going to Christian God. Why in the world do we decorate children's nurseries with Noah's Ark?
I don't know.
Because Noah's Ark, if you actually read the story, is very not child-friendly.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving along.
It always for a different episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, Ra was upset with the humans, so he chose his daughter Hathor to punish the unruly humans and be his eye, his justice. But Hathor was just too nice to do it. She was the goddess of motherhood, of beauty, and of children. I mean, the lady is a literal cow. And cows are adorable. So she has, entirely good vibes. So Hathor decided to stop laughing at me. I like cows.
Okay.
So Hathor decided to let loose her dark side. And by that, I mean she literally turned into Sekhmet, who is the goddess of war. That's right, people. Hathor and Sekhmet are two sides of the same coin. Or at least they were at this point. Or possibly sisters, and Hathor just handed the job over to Sekhmet. We really don't know.
Honestly, I'll just get into it at the end.
But Sekhmet ended up taking the job, however that happened. So she, as the Eye of Ra, went on a rampage. Hundreds of thousands of people were slaughtered in her rage, and the fields literally ran with human blood as terrified screams echoed through the entire kingdom of Egypt. Now, Ra was a merciful god king, and he was a bit concerned as he saw there wasn't really that many people left. And I don't know how long this went on, but it's kind of implied that it was very fast, so she just went bonkers. Ra was like, this is a bit much, and he tried to call his daughter off, but she was pretty much high off of the blood on her hands, and she refused to listen. So Ra realized, I need to fix this. And he came up with a plan. He mixed beer and pomegranate juice. I apparently can't say pomegranate.
Pomegranate.
But the pomegranate juice stained the beer a brilliant bloody red. Historians argue if he poured the fake blood like in her path, like right in front of her, or if he poured it into the Nile, but she fell for the trick and she gorged herself on the liquid until she became so drunk that she passed out on the spot. So she slept for 3 days and then she awoke. One version of the legend says that she rose again as the peaceful Hathor, while another said she woke up to the face of Ta, her husband, and fell deeply in love with him, and then got married. Either way, Sekhmet and Hathor woke up peacefully, and humanity was saved. This victory was celebrated with a grand feast once a year, where beer was served mixed with pomegranate juices, and praises were sung both to Ra for helping save them, but also to Sekhmet for returning to her role as protector. My favorite part, you were literally expected to get as drunk as possible.
I know this is Egypt, but this sounds like a very Scottish thing.
It does.
Just get hammered.
Yeah. The source I read referred to it as like Egyptian Thanksgiving, and I'm like, what kind of Thanksgivings are you going to?
It's also a little better of an origin story than Thanksgiving.
True. But yeah, so this is just a brief overview of one of the most influential goddesses in Egyptian lore. There's hundreds of other things we could talk about, from her connection to the pharaohs, to her connection to Isis, which is a goddess. But I thought it would be better to just do a short look into this very cool and very bloodthirsty lady. We are so lucky with the Egyptians. Maddie and I were actually talking about this before the episode. They had extensive written records.
Egypt, Mesopotamia, really any culture in that area just has the best records.
As well as a lot of like ancient Asian cultures as well. Basically everywhere but Europe.
Yeah, Europe was just like, let's orally tell our stories. We're not going to write it down. Who needs that?
Yes, we're shading the Norse here.
We need it.
We are shading the Norse.
We are shading the Norse.
Anyways.
One of the oldest stories is the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is a Mesopotamian story. And I had to read it for my mythologies class. They have like 6 tablets preserved. And the parts that they don't have are very minuscule.
Yeah.
And so we just thank you to the Egyptians and anybody in that area who kept extensive records so that your mythology can live on. Because honestly, they're probably some of the most well-known or like well kept track of, but not as popular as like Greek mythology.
I find it interesting of like the difference, and for example, we covered like Loki and stuff like that. Yes, some of the details are fuzzy, but you get to the same place no matter what with Egyptian mythology. Like for example, whether Hathor and Sekhmet were like the same person but 2 different forms.
And you were talking about the son. You were talking about Sekhmet's son and how even though you don't know what being born from a blue lotus flower on the river means, you said every single source says that.
No, it's honestly, it just
Whereas I forget who I was researching, but I looked at one place and it said something, and then I looked at another place and it said something completely different. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, so anyways, Egyptian mythology has been a niche interest of mine since like 4th grade, so this was a lot of fun for me to go back down that. Yeah, no, I literally found the sources that I would spend hours reading during 4th grade. Yeah, no, this was a fun trip down memory lane for me. A bloody one.
A bloody trip down memory lane.
Anyways, that brings us to the end of the episode. What's coming up next week, Madison?
Up next, I just checked. Up next is the New York urban legend of Cropsey.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, see, I told you we're spiraling down into scary, gross things.
Woo!
I promise you the next episode that I have planned after Cropsey is very entertaining.
That's good.
And not scary at all.
I need to reorganize my episodes and figure out what one is coming after Cropsey.
I was going to say, I feel like another problem we're having is we're starting to get so many of the same types of legends back to back that we just need to do a little shuffle up.
Anyways, wishes.
Yes.
My wish, I guess I'm going first because
Yeah.
Maddie's yawning. My wish is that, if you are registering for classes for fall, or if you already have registered, if you get a morning class, that you are able to wake up every morning and not feel absolutely exhausted before your class.
I was gonna say I have a morning class, my fall quarter. It starts at 8 a.m. and I just
That's brutal.
Yeah, but it was the only option they had for that class, and
Mhm.
I have to take it if I want to do that as my major. So
Gotcha. I haven't registered for classes yet. We're doing that on June 2nd.
I've registered.
Nice.
The birds are singing us a lovely song.
Yes, it's been a noisy morning.
Yes, it has been. My wish is that if you go to a grocery store or a plant shop or anywhere they sell plants, you don't feel the overwhelming urge to buy another.
I think that's just a wish for you, Madison.
Yeah. No, there's a plant shop opening today, the day that we're filming this, in my town, and I'm just like, I don't need to go.
You don't need another
plant. I don't. I'm moving soon. I don't need another plant.
Wait until after you move.
I know. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok and like this video and subscribe to the channel. I just said and a lot of times. Also, incentive. If we hit 50 followers on Instagram and 50 subscribers on YouTube, I will buy a life-size cardboard cutout of Loki, and he will live in the background of my end of the video.
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry, I just got distracted by the chickens across the road. Anyways.
Oops. Yes. And
thank you for watching.
Yes.
I don't know if you already said that. I was distracted by chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you just say subscribe to the chickens?
No, I said I was distracted by chickens.
Oh, I heard subscribe to the chickens.
Yes, subscribe to the chickens.
Yes, not us, the chickens.
The chickens that you can't see.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, this episode was much more palatable than last week's.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Oh, and as always, stitches end up in ditches.
You've got to find out how to work that in better.